I think so. Yes. Okay. Aloha, everyone. This is Mike Moran with the Kihei Community Association, and welcome to our final 2020 general membership meeting, which is open to the community. Any of you that were waiting, we had a little technical issue, but we think we have it resolved now. We have our three presenters here. So I will, as we always do, whether the meeting is in person or virtual, we always want to say mahalo to everyone, mahalo to our members, to our directors, to our board of directors, our volunteers, and to the community in general. We have three presenters tonight. And before I introduce them, I want to read a little spiel. Those of you who read our newsletter saw that in there, but this will only take a minute, but I'm reading it so it'll be quicker. It says, because we are not able to hold our in-person monthly meetings, our membership is decreasing while our community needs are increasing, and our unfunded organization has an ever-increasing to-do list. Most of the membership dues we collect go towards website maintenance, advertising, and to fund independent studies and consultants we hire to better understand the infrastructure and transportation possibilities that will provide our community with the best options for efficient traffic flow, reduce flooding, and clean ocean water, just to name a few. If financial hardship has played a role in your reluctance to join or renew your membership, we get it. But if you're merely distracted and renewing your membership remains on your to-do list, please take action at our website, gokihei.org, or mail us a check today. The reduced policy is still in place, but it's all on our website. That took a lot longer to read than I thought it would. So, but just go to our website, and if your membership has expired or you're thinking about joining, please do. We need it. Okay, tonight we have three guests. Two are frequent representatives, and they are legal representatives of our government system. So we have them in order of presentation. Our South Maui council member, recently reelected, Kelly King. Hi, Kelly.
Aloha.
Our South Maui state representative, also reelected, Tina Wildberger. Hi, Tina. And our never elected, and I don't think she ever ran for office, but we have Linda Puppolo tonight, who is going to be the cleanup presenter. Hi, Linda. That's going to present, and we're asking them each to be about 20 minutes. This is not like the forums where you get the buzzer and you have to shut up, or even a county council where the buzzer goes off, your time is up, next. No, this is a soft 20 minutes. And if it gets a little bit long, I'll remind you so that we have time for each of you to give a presentation and then maybe chat a little bit amongst yourselves about any of the things that were discussed. So I will stop babbling and ask Kelly King to start us off. And Kelly, I think everybody knows you, who you are, but you could introduce yourself and tell us whatever you want to tell us for about 20 minutes. Welcome, Kelly. Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you for having me here, and I hope we have this term growing attendance at KCA meetings, even if we are virtual. But I want to thank everyone for your support. It really means a lot to me to win all 4 precincts in the South Maui district. And I think it also bodes well that we're doing collectively, because we've been supporting each other in our efforts, that we're doing the right thing and the thing that serves people the best. So I wanted to go over tonight some of my priorities for the coming term, but I wanted to start out with just doing a brief recap of the charter amendments and what they mean. 6 out of the 7 passed. There are 2 that speak to term limitations, and what they did basically was take the word consecutive out of the existing charter And so in the past, you've seen certain council members serve 5 terms, take a term out and then come back for 5 terms. And then we also had a mayor who served 1 term and got unseated and then came back for 2 terms. So what these 2 charter amendments do is they limit the total amount of time for the mayor to 2 terms, and they limit the total amount of time for the council to 5 terms. And that kind of gives us a chance to get new blood in there and not have these repeat people. And I just also want to give a lot of credit to Alice Lee and Mike Molina for voting for the charter amendment to limit the terms that way, because they were in a position where they were 2 people that had come back like that. So those were my proposals, and I made a pretty big plea to them to not take it personally, because it wasn't about anyone in particular. It was really about the system and setting up a system that encourages new leadership and new ideas to come into our county. So those are 2 of the charter amendments. The charter amendment that passed that extended the affordable housing fund will continue a percentage will come out of property taxes into this affordable housing fund to help with projects that are truly affordable, that are and we're trying to focus on, even though I tried to put it in the bill but it didn't make it, we're really trying to focus on that money on the less than 100% area median income folks, that type of housing. We also used to say, and the reason why this was important was because this fund was going to sunset at the end of 21, at the end of this next fiscal year. And what would happen is there would be no mandate for money to go into the affordable housing fund. So this keeps it going in perpetuity. We didn't put a sunset on it. And we also increased it to 3%. So from 2% to 3%. So going forward, that's what the amount will come out of property tax into the affordable housing fund after this current one expires. The next one that passed was the charter amendment to create a Department of Agriculture. And that's something that's going to take a lot of community discussion for all stakeholders to be involved in what that is. I think there was a fear of this being really prescriptive and regulating folks out of the way certain people are doing agriculture. And it really was meant to be more of a supportive entity to help with funding, and we have $2.5 million worth of agricultural grants that the county council had budgeted, and we don't have if we had a Department of Agriculture, that would be the entity that would be giving out those grants. But because we don't have a real strong agricultural office, it went to MEO. So MEO is the entity that's distributing those ag grants. And they're really good because they actually do a lot of grants themselves. So it's not like they don't know how to do it, but there's a lot of ag assistance that we don't get because of our proximity to Oahu, where everything happens. And so it's just the way our state is set up. So I think this will bring home the importance of agriculture. I also don't think it's going to happen in the next couple of years. I think it needs strong leadership that believes in this, and the mayor was against it. So I don't think he's going to make a lot of moves to create it. But I think folks should start talking about what it is they want to see in a local Department of Agriculture. And by the way, I've talked to folks on the county council on the Big Island who were very excited about this, because some of them want to do the same thing on their island. There were a couple of other charter amendments that passed, and one of them is to allow the council to appoint the majority of folks for the next charter commission. Next year is the 10-year mark for the next charter commission to be seated. And so in that charter amendment, it requires one person on that. It requires the council to appoint 9 and one person from each district. So the distribution of people on the charter commission will be a little more fair. But we also have the added, burden of trying to balance it out demographically and gender-wise, and just to try to make sure, income-wise and all that. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge, just trying to balance out if we're all trying to identify one person in each of our districts. And then there was a charter amendment that is addressing some of the what I call the charter crisis. On the federal level, it's called a constitutional crisis, because there's been a differing of opinion on the interpretation of the charter that was made very clear during the injection well settlement agreement that the council voted to approve. And then the mayor decided not to sign it. And so we had this conflict of who really has the right to settle an agreement like this. So the charter amendment states that when there's a conflict in the interpretation of the charter, that the council will get outside general counsel to help us settle that through the courts. And what happened with the injection well case was that I tried to propose that for the council, but it takes 6 votes, and we only had 5. So we were not able to hire outside counsel to get a declaratory ruling from the courts as to who had the authority to settle that case, and therefore went to the Supreme Court. And then, of course, everyone knows the last one that did not pass was on the professional county manager. And unfortunately, there were just a lot of things that were being said about that were not true. One of them was that, unfortunately, our former mayor came out and said that this bill is going to create 2 positions, which is not true. It was only intended to take the one position and elevate it to a professional level and contract it out so that it wouldn't be dependent on the term of office of the mayor. So there were I think there's some work that needs to be done there. But I think in all fairness too, it's a big step, and I think a lot of people didn't understand it because the document itself was very long, because a lot of other parts in the charter had to be changed to align with this additional position, or with this elevated position. So, that may be taken up by the next charter commission as well, and maybe they'll try to streamline that the bill to make it more understandable. But I think it was a valiant effort by the folks that really wanted to see a level of professionalism and try to limit some of the cronyism that happens in our government at this time, and also the expense of the turnover, because the information the research that we were doing was showing that you can save, that the turnover will cost you about 1.5 times the position. So you spend a lot of money turning those positions over, training new people, getting them on board, and then they're gone in 4 years again. So that would have been enough of a savings. I think the savings that could have been gotten out of that position would far exceed the increase in salary. The general research was saying that the counties and municipalities that go this way can save 5 to 10%. Well, even if it was only 5%, that's $40 million of our budget. So if you save 5% of the county budget, that's a huge amount, and that's well beyond the cost of those positions. So maybe some of those things weren't explained well enough. I'm not sure. I thought the folks that did mount the campaign to get the information and the education out there did a good job. But we'll just have to see what happens next time. And I really appreciate our representative Tina Wildberger also helping us with that, because she understood that extremely well and helped us do the education outreach on that charter amendment. So next I wanted to go through some of my priorities for the coming term. And this is not by any means exhaustive, because I always feel like at any given time I'm working on 25 issues at once. But the priorities, I think, for South Maui are continuing to push for the North-South Collector Road. And I'm going to continue to enlist Representative Wildberger and Senator Baker on that one, because this is an extremely important part of our community that grows even more important with the climate change that's happening and the climate disasters we've been having. I'm going to continue to push for the smooth operations in the update of the South Maui Community Plan. And some of you have been on the committee that's been formed to start doing the outreach on that. I think it's going extremely well. We had one meeting, and Representative Wildberger was on that one as well. So we've got a really good start. And I think the person that they have in charge, Kate Blystone, is excellent, extremely positive. very community minded. So I have a lot of hope that this process is going to go well, and hopefully we can do it in less than the normal 3 years that it has taken for other community plan updates. But I think that my goal is to get that done within the next term. And then I want to go through just some of the issues for my committee. I'm hoping to still be the chair of the Climate Action and Resilience Committee. And I don't know if I told you, Mike, and to the board of the KCA, but I was recruited to join the board of ICLEI, that's ICLEI. It's the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. And it's an organization that encompasses 60 countries. And I'm on the United States Board of Directors, which has about 11 people. So I'm the only one on the board right now that represents a coastal island community, which, makes, for us, sea level rise is a huge issue. And I think the rest of the board was excited to have that representation because they don't necessarily live with it if they're, in an interstate without a coastline. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about what that can bring to our community and to our state, because they have money to do baseline studies, and they do a lot of assistance to the municipalities across, globally. So this is a really important organization, and it's going to really help our Climate Action Committee. So I'm just going to run through a list of some of the things that I'm going to be working on, and not necessarily in priority order, but we'll see how they come out of there's a Climate Action Advisory Committee that's been formed, and it's all volunteers. They've split up into subcommittees, and so they're going to be addressing some of these issues as well, and helping me bounce ideas off them or bringing me new ideas. And these are folks that are advocates and professionals and researchers in our community. So the climate change action is going to encompass regenerative agriculture and food security. And I do sit on the Maui Nui Food Alliance. So we're trying to we're trying to create a baseline study for what our food count is right now. Reduced emissions for transportation and buildings, which means renewable energy. Also will encompass building codes, and especially for new buildings, but probably for retrofitting buildings too that are energy intensive. Managed retreat is a big issue. I've got one bill that we'll be hearing tomorrow, if we get to it, on wastewater treatment facilities, and basically a bill that just mandates we're not building any more wastewater treatment facilities within the sea level rise inundation zone. And we also need to expand that eventually to I think any other Maui County facilities too. No new County of Maui investments in facilities in these inundation zone areas. Also, we have to look at road restructuring and the infrastructure here. And that's where I'll really need the support of our state legislature, because one of the key issues for our community is realigning North Kihei Road. And we need to get that, we really need to start on that as soon as possible. That's going to, probably within our lifetime to be underwater. So that's an important one. And also looking at it countywide, the realignment of Hanoa Piilani as well. On the environmental side, that's not specifically climate action. I really want to work on building back up our recycling program and see what policies we can put in place and what funding we can put in place, because it's dwindled shamelessly, and now we're not even recycling the green waste and the sludge anymore. It's all going back in the landfill. So that really needs to reverse itself back to where we were starting in the 80s. And we had a wonderful recycling program that I was so proud of our island, but this has just dwindled over the years. So we need to build it back up. We're also going to be supporting commercial scale composting. We don't really have, other than Maui Eco, which is not being allowed to compost these days, we really don't have any other commercial composting on the island. So we need to get into that. We need to retire the injection wells, and I want to work towards that, towards more water recycling and some of the innovative things that are happening, like Travis Liggett's Limu filtering project. So there's a lot of innovation out there around wastewater, and we can bring some things in that I think may even save us some money. The homeless issue, I think, continues. We need to get back into that. And we thought we had a mobile hygiene unit that was taken up. First of all, we were not allowed to use that because of the lack of ADA compliance. And then somehow they took it over. And they put it in the YLI, where those little homeless tiny homes were built, and gave us. And then we had the small mobile hygiene unit that was being deployed that is ADA compliant. And I don't know if you folks heard, but that just got broken into and everything taken out, including the toilet. So real shame. I don't know who would do that for such a worthy cause. I mean, steal from such a worthy cause. But we also want to get some funding so we can get our original mobile hygiene unit back to. And it probably won't be quite as large. I was told that it was actually a little bit too large. But if we can get maybe a 2-stall unit, 2 shower toilet units in it. So I'm going to be working on that. And also I want to pursue again the idea of overnight parking, because we still have that issue of folks in our community getting tickets constantly for parking illegally on the side of the road and to sleep overnight. So I think we need to revisit that and try to come up with a solution. I'm going to be supporting, of course, the HARP program, the disaster preparedness, and I'll let Tina talk about that because she's done a fantastic job. She's now our commander for that project. So Commander Wildberger will talk about that. And also I just wanted to put a couple words in about the South Maui District funds. I'm trying to figure out what we have for this year, because even though I put some provisos in for things like Whale Day and Fourth Friday, we haven't been having Fourth Friday. And I still don't know if the Whale Day is going to happen in February. So there may be some more available funding from events that aren't happening that'll be available for South Maui. And what we did last budget was we expanded the description of that fund. It used to be just for cultural and economic development, and now it also includes environmental issues. So we may be able to use that to help out with the watershed issues, or maybe supplement the project that's happening on the wetlands, the wetland restoration. And I'm gonna stop there. And I think I took my 20 minutes, but if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. You're muted, Mike. There he is.
All right. Gosh, technology is not my long suit, but before I turn it over to Tina, I do have to do one more piece of housekeeping, and I broke it up from the original. It's in the KCA bylaws. The November meeting normally is a vote. The membership votes for a slate of candidates for the board for the following year. But of course, we weren't meeting in person, so we had to follow what we did here as a statement of why we had to do mail-in voting. Ours was email-in voting, but we did get a slate of candidates. So normally, it's the people vote in person and then they hear who was elected. But here we'll just read off the names of those that are elected, so we have it official. And it's a lot of familiar names, but they're just in alphabetical order. Our 2021 board of directors will have 11 directors, and it's Andrew Bira, and the new one is Laura Dunham. And then we have Harry Hecht, Daniel Camahelli, Mike Moran, Adele Rugg, Charlene Schulenberg, Patricia Stillwell, Mary Trotto, Randy Wagner, and Rob Weltman. So those were the elected board for 2021. And as I said, a lot of familiar names in there. But so now we're officially on the record. And we have to do it. We have a process and we follow the process that you can't just have somebody jump in the middle of the year. they have to go through this process of being elected in November. And whether it's worth it or not, but that we do follow the bylaws pretty strictly. Okay, so Tina, I will turn it over to you, and hopefully doing this, roughly 20 minutes, we'll still have some time at the end so that any of you can ask questions or make comments about what other guys said. Okay, Tina, with the, is it Commander Tina now? Take it away.
Commander Wildberger is actually Mike's dad.
Oh, okay.
But I thank you for the promotion, Kelly. My thanks to my esteemed colleague and partner in advocating for South Maui, Councilmember King, and I'm thrilled to see Linda Puppolo here and really excited to work with her. My deep gratitude to the work that Kihei Community Association does. They are an uncompensated board who do a lot of important work and interface with our governmental agencies and make sure that our community has a voice. And it has been my distinct pleasure and privilege to work with you on a variety of issues that have happened over the last 2 years. And I look forward to 2 more years. It's a 2-year contract, and the people of South Maui, I owe them a debt of gratitude as well for having confidence in me to be our voice at the state legislature. So I have a PowerPoint that my partner in crime, Natalia, has put together. She's getting really great at graphic arts in case she doesn't want to be a secret weapon in politics. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Bear with me just a moment. So I want to offer everybody my contact information. The best way to reach us nowadays during COVID, while we are not occupying the office and working remotely, is to please email. That phone number works. You can leave a voicemail, but it's much better if you reach out to us via email. Then we've got a written record. Natalia and I both tackle that email pretty hard. And that's the best way to reach us. So please, if you have any issues or concerns, we are both at your disposal. Reach out to us via email and we'll be happy to help you if we're able. Au courant this weekend is the sudden reduction in speed limit on Piilani Highway. After a weekend of uproar, I was able to reach our State Department of Transportation staff in their office to find out exactly what's going on with Piilani Highway having its speed limit reduced from 40 miles an hour to 30 miles an hour. They are doing this so that they can do the temporary signal at the school for construction purposes, as well as the installation of guardrails along the entire Piilani Highway. We have been advised that it's temporary and that the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit will be restored from Piikea south, hopefully by the end of the year, and the Piikea north, so that's Safeway north, will probably remain at the reduced speed limit through March while they finish construction work on that area. So I'm suggesting that everybody please take an extra 5 minutes to traverse Kihei. Please use your cruise control because I find it super hard to drive 30 miles an hour on that road. Don't forget your patience before you leave home. And anybody who is obeying the new speed limit, please drive in the right-hand lane to allow speeders to pass. Some numbers about our arrivals since we did our official reopening and pre-testing travel program effective October 14th. In 1 month, we've had 182,188 arrivals across the state, and that is compared to 25,000 people a day a year ago. The Ritz-Carlton and the Grand Wailea have opened. Washington, California, and Oregon, their COVID numbers are so bad that those 3 governors are actually asking residents to voluntarily quarantine for 14 days if they have traveled anywhere. I want to talk a little bit about our COVID numbers. This is a graph I have to credit you. Some of you who get Dick Mayer's info will recognize his style of spreadsheets, and they're absolutely invaluable. I love them. So Dick has compiled our COVID numbers for the first 15 days of October. We had 13 cases. That was before we opened. We opened on October 15th. And so 1 month later, our numbers have tripled. So that's a sign of concern. We need to be aware that our numbers are going up. Today is the very first day that the governor has instituted a statewide mask mandate. So if you are leaving your house, you are supposed to have a mask. You're supposed to have a mask if you're walking on the beach. You're supposed to have a mask if you're in a public park. If you are not in your house, you're supposed to have a mask. So I'm modeling mask behavior to the best of my ability. I ride a bike and I wear a mask. When I go stand up paddling, I wear a mask down to the beach, and I remove my mask right before I go paddling, and I put it on right before I come back. So we need some kukua in this area. This is after 100 years and all the technology that we've mustered in this world. The mask and social distancing are our only tools. So I'm asking our community to please step up, stand up, and mask up. I am loath to report that we have had a first case of COVID at Lokalani Intermediate, which has been doing blended in-school learning. And we wish all the best and quick recovery to that family. I don't have any more information except that Lokalani has gone back to distance learning for a 14-day period. A little information about our state revenue for third quarter. Our income taxes are actually up. However, our GET taxes are down by $300 million. That's a 25% drop compared to 2019. Our transient occupancy taxes are down, no surprise, 93% at a deficit of $209 million. And that's leaving the state at a third quarter net deficit of $200 million. The state has announced many different testing partners because people are starting to travel, even though it's probably better to stay home. Hawaii residents have been finding it difficult to find a test for them to take for their return to Hawaii. And so the state has worked hard to get a lot of different and additional partners on board to do the approved testing for pre-travel departure to return to Hawaii, Costco included. And the list there shows the different areas where you can get those tests. So if you are traveling, don't forget that you've got to pre-arrange a 72-hour pre-departure test to return to Hawaii. I am really thrilled to share that our state government has created 2 new committees. And I am the vice chair, along with my colleague, Angus McKelvey, who is the chair of the new Government Reform Committee. And I think our job is going to be to try to find money, waste, and efficiencies in our government functions. And that's something that is very important to me as someone who does not come from government and out of small business. I see a lot of inertia and a lot of waste and many ways in which we can find money. And that's what it's going to take for us to be able to balance our budgets in the next few years. I'm also a member of the brand new Pandemic and Disaster Preparedness Committee, having worked for the last year with community members on our HHARP, our HARP, Hawaii Hazards Awareness, Preparedness, and Resilience and Preparedness certification. We're almost done, and we'll have that final product ready probably at the beginning of 2021. And I asked to stay on the Finance Committee, and I want to thank leadership for honoring that request. I enjoy very much working with Chair Luke and learning more about how we fund our government. I kind of jumped the gun on Governor's 15th proclamation, saying that everybody's got to wear a mask, but it doesn't hurt to repeat it. And if you notice on my slide here, you'll see the flyer that says "Help Keep Maui Open." Natalia designed this beautiful graphic. I have them laminated, and if anybody would like graphics or signage for their business, I have hand washing signage, I have masking signage, I have social distancing signage. If you need any signage like this, please reach out to me. I will be happy to bring them to your place of business so that you can help spread the word of what kind of behavior we need to model and to set an example for, and to ask our visitors to cooperate with us. It's all about Kuleana in the mask and social distancing program. And then finally, I want to just take a look a little bit at the CARES Act spending. There's a really great website that shows you what's happening with all of the money. Interestingly, after all of this time and all of the money that's come into the state from the federal government, we have only spent 30% of that money, and we only have about a month left to finish spending it. I'm going to transfer over to that website, hopefully without too much struggle. Oh my gosh, I'm getting good at this. And so everybody can check out this website. It's really interactive. It's hawaiidata.org. And as you can see, the portion of the total coronavirus relief funding was $1.2 billion into the state of Hawaii. I have Maui County checked over here on the left, and you can, it's super interactive. The top numbers and the bottom numbers don't change, but you can click each window and find out. Nope, I'm not on Maui County anymore. Back to Maui County. And so the Small Business Assistance and Workforce has 248 million, with 20.4% of that spent. The public health expense has been a $15 million endeavor with 22% expensed. Economic support for $10 million. So everybody can go to this website and check county by county, overall state, and have a look at what's happening with all of our coronavirus relief fund. And basically what's going to happen if encumbered funds are not expended in time, these leftover funds are going to go into our unemployment fund, so we can continue to support folks who have been dislocated from their income because of coronavirus. And that's the most of my presentation. I want to say thank you very much. I'm going to stop my screen share and go back to, I think I did that. Did I do that right? Am I doing all right? Thanks, everybody. Nice to be with you this evening.
Okay, very good, Tina. That was very informative. Even I could keep up with all those numbers, but it did show us, I mean, we all knew that taxes were going to be way down. But boy, when you see those numbers, it's like, wow, how are we going to pay for things? And, yep. Well, Linda, I'll let you introduce yourself. Needless to say, I think in fairness, you're not as well known as your two preceding wahine. So if you could tell the members in the community who's watching a little bit about yourself and what you're doing and what you would like to inform the community about tonight. So Linda, take it away.
Hi, I'm Linda Puppolo, and I am the Executive Director of the Maui County Workforce Development Board. So I came today because I am going to I'm trying to get to every community to talk about workforce and to inform, not only just inform the public, but to solicit ideas. That was the main point of the sector strategies committees that we've been forming. And I want to do a little bit of, give a lot of information, and then I'm certainly willing to answer any questions that you might have. I'm going to do a little share screen if I can find. That's not my share screen. You got to give it back to me, I think. Oh, maybe it is. No. I I don't see mine. Oh, maybe that's it right there. There we go. Okay. Okay, so this is an update on the workforce and COVID. The unemployment rate in Maui County in February of 2020 was 2.6. I had a 2.5 person staff at that point. 1,600 claims were filed for unemployment in January and February of 2020. But once March 1st hit, 59,000 claims were filed. And I still had a 2.5 staff. The Maui County workforce for both employees and gig workers is approximately 92,423 workers. The Maui County workforce declined from March to August by 5,250 jobs, which we don't expect to retrieve back. So the workforce is about 87,000 right now. While Maui only has 11% of the population in Hawaii, we have 17.5% of the state's unemployment. So we're significantly higher than the other counties in unemployment. 44,900 jobs are related to the visitors industry in accommodations, hospitality, food service, transportation, and merchandising. Maui experienced the greatest statewide decline in the visitors industry. Their occupancy went from 71 to 12%, revenues dropped, average daily rates dropped. And the Maui Island Plan that was written in 2010 said, they told us at that point, we needed to diversify the workforce and reduce dependence upon imports. And that didn't happen yet. I have hope that it is gonna happen. Okay, this kind of gives you the statistics. I'm happy to share this with anybody. These were all the weeks. If you can see March, March was the big, March and April, beginning of April, we had 10,000 claims a week. The unemployment system completely broke. Our lives in workforce development have been very difficult because even though we work for the county, we spend hours and hours every day answering questions about unemployment. And these are the statistics across the board across the state we're at 17.42, Hawaii Island 12.4, 7% Kauai, and 61% of the state unemployment comes from Oahu. Just to give you an idea of how many claims from January to June of last year, in 2019, there were only 3,000 claims filed in 6 months. Okay, this is kind of a list of all the industries. So you can see that these are the things in the visitor industry that are directly related, about 44,000 jobs. And this is what other services are affected. Unemployment had a 33% increase from March to August. Medicaid, I predicted this back in March that what was going to happen is when unemployment became more and more, when the extra subsidies went away, that we would end up having a higher rate of Medicaid and TANF is welfare benefits, and SNAP, which is food stamps. So these are the increases: 33% in unemployment, 57% in Medicaid, and we're not done yet. And welfare benefits, another 57%. SNAP, I didn't have a percentage, but I know that $145 million in additional SNAP benefits statewide were given out, besides the normal benefits, besides any of the increases. The Maui County nonprofits report to me that their donations have been reduced between 25 and 50%. Many of the nonprofits are struggling to the point that they're thinking about partnering their admin and leveraging resources, which is really smart. And of course, Maui United Way has been working really hard to help all the smaller nonprofits keep afloat. And nonprofits are needed more now than ever in the history of Maui. Okay, so what do? I know that we need to create job diversity. I remember now I have a 2.5 staff. Volunteer, people could volunteer for my sector strategies committees to help, you know, the more brainstorming, the better ideas we come up with. We could reduce imports by developing new industries to keep the money here. I have done a lot of research on this, and one of the biggest things we import besides food is paper. If we could figure out a way to make paper in Hawaii, toilet paper, copy paper, boxes, we would reduce our imports by about 1/3. Build resiliency centers in remote communities, because it would be beneficial to those communities to have jobs that were remote, but the broadband doesn't support that at this point. Refer individuals with barriers to employment. Now, there's a lot of people that have been working in the hotel system for a long, long time. They like their jobs. They may never go back to them. So we have programs to help people get training, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. We created 2 websites. The first one during the pandemic, so we could help people get on their cell phones to file for unemployment, because a lot of them ended up losing their Wi-Fi, or if they had a choice between Wi-Fi and a cell phone, they kept their cell phone. A lot of them didn't have computers. Many of them didn't want to leave their homes, so we found ways to get them registered and for unemployment. Of course, a lot of them couldn't get through unemployment. We have a box on our tool, MauiAmericanJobCenter.com, that says what you can do now. That box is a really valuable box, because not only can it take you from a career path you might want to start from the beginning to tell you what training you need for it, what is the money at the end of it. It's a great tool for people to look at. We also have a self-interest assessment that people can figure out maybe what they're more suited to than what they're doing. There's going to be a lot of pivoting in the job market. We're urging everybody to register for HireNet if you haven't done that, even though it's not a mandate yet. When it becomes a mandate, if we don't trickle the registrations in, it'll break just like the unemployment system. We created another website called the Maui County Virtual Job Fair.com, and the other website is really interactive. You can register for school on it. My grandson registered for school. He got his financial aid and he did his FAFSA on this website. And we also have jobs. We have 99 jobs on there right now, something like that, 90 something jobs. And we have employers that are, we're starting to reach out to the employers. We just created it. It's only been in existence since August 1st. So we worked, and it was a collaboration between University of Hawaii, Maui County Office of Economic Development, and the Maui County Workforce Development Board. And collaborations are what's working for us right now, because we don't have a lot of staff. The American Job Center has all these services. We have programs that do lots of things, and it's all free. Every service at the American Job Center is free. And we have programs that can help people that have all different kinds of barriers. And adult and dislocated worker program, our provider also can help people with SNAP, TANF, and Medicaid. We have funding for incumbent workers to be upskilled. We have funding for farm workers. We have funding for senior citizens if they need an extra part-time job. And the Unemployment Insurance Division is one of our partners, so we support them 100% all we can to make sure the community is being helped in every way they can. We also have a rapid response program that we work with the unions, we work with private individuals, businesses, and we find training and support for businesses as well. Okay, here's some numbers for you. Since our American Job Center website has had 10,000 page views, but our Maui County Virtual Job Fair website has had 38,000 page views in just 2 months. We have 7,000 users, 92 jobs online right now, participants enrolled 126, and employers, we have 36 registered employers right now. So it's growing, it's very young in its infancy really, but it is a way, it is a way for us to virtually help people if they don't want to come out. It's a way for us, if we do shut down again, we can still help people do things. And it's a way for people to get access training, counseling, career counseling, financial counseling for their work. It's a really great tool. We worked really hard on it, and CARES Act money paid for the development of the website. The Wagner Pizer program is our welcome team. They have 426 participants presently. Reportable individuals is 2,000 just because we have 426 people actually enrolled, we actually service 2,000 people because a lot of people call and they do a lot of self-service, and we give them tools that they can use, these virtual tools, and we don't actually have to enroll them in the program. The employment rate from that is about almost 60% of the people that go through that program get jobs. The adult program is about individuals that are over 18 with barriers to employment. It's a lot harder to get these long-term unemployed individuals jobs. A lot of them don't have GEDs. A lot of them haven't worked for a long time. But we do have 29 people enrolled right now, and we're getting them jobs slowly as we're getting them training. A lot. Right now, employers are not hiring people without GEDs, so we have to put them through GED program. Again, all our services are free. Dislocated worker program is for anybody that's been terminated and and just lost their job for whatever reason. And everybody that comes into the program, right now we have 100% unemployment rate. We've been able to find everybody that comes into the program, and like the numbers of how many jobs is difficult because they come and go so fast. So the youth program, we have 92, 40 of those people were waiting. They're finishing up their education, and they're looking for jobs right now. And it's not easy for young people to find jobs right now. 60% employment rate. If you look over on the right-hand side, the AJC eligible training provider programs, 59, we have 59 programs right now that they can choose from. We have career readiness classes like Excel, how to use a computer, 23 different programs they can choose from. Rapid response, our rapid response has businesses serviced 127 businesses. We have 58 reportable individuals, and there's 6,000 employees have been furloughed and 4,600 laid off employees that we've affected. But I will say that another 3,000 of those furloughed employees will become laid off employees very, very soon, probably by the end of December. We also helped the ILWU with computer assistance because they have such a large consistency and a lot of people don't have computers. So we helped 492 users to be able to, we assisted them with computers. And those are the ones that didn't have cell phones, yeah? So a lot of them. Okay, so this is my idea. This is our idea in the program, is that if we did sector strategies with these different sectors, that we would get a lot of information on how to employ people and what kind of jobs work in what communities. So our objectives are to reduce dependence on imports, job diversity, new job creation, business adaptability, leveraging resources amongst all the partners, federal grant funding, diverse investment structure, develop clean manufacturing, creative recycling, and forming freight membership company to reduce freight rates. Because right now, freight rates are at an all-time high. And you know that Young Brothers and everybody, but if we had a membership company, we did it when I was a flower grower, we formed a membership company, and the weight of all the flower companies, we were able to reduce freight rates by 20%. Imagine adding 20% back into entrepreneurial people's bottom line. So these are the sectors we've met with. We're forming some of them. We've met with HANA, agriculture, employment agencies, security, IT, healthcare, and the other ones we haven't had a lot of time with a small staff to explore. But I think that reaching out into the communities, we've also met with Lanai and Hana and Molokai. And those are remote communities that need extra help, and we're trying to leverage the playing field to help them. Okay. This is the new job creation. We created a job yesterday called the 211 coordinator for Maui United Way. They will be housed at the American Job Center, and we'll be able to share resources, the office. We'll be able to share, people can be passed over to us and referred to us quickly by Maui United Way and back the other way. So we're working really well with them. It's a great partnership. We're also trying to get a career services coordinator for the American Job Center. Now, the mayor just gave us a position, kind of like a 3/4 position. And we're thinking that that person we can put into career services coordinator with the right training. We don't know how long we're going to have him, but we're hoping we'll have him for at least 6 months. If we have him for that long, we'll be very lucky. That will help us move people. All our programs co-enroll people so we can leverage resources. So what we need is a coordinator to help smooth the path between the different programs. And these jobs, the Hana community has talked to us and said these are the jobs that they think that they need in their community right away. Molokai, we're looking at a remote technology project with a software developer that plans to move to Hawaii. The Lanai community, we're looking at a biliteracy call center project. And then on the right side, for all the islands, these are some of the numbers and some of the types of jobs that we think that we could possibly, make new job creation in. Okay, so this is my funding plan. On the left side, the orange boxes are actually dislocated worker program, adult program, and I don't know why my youth program's off the screen, but there's a youth program too. It's about $550,000 annually. We have about half of PY19 money, which has to be spent before June. And then I can move into PY20 money, which has to be, that I have another year to use. But then in July of next year, I get awarded another 550. So I have more than 550 right now. I have about 800,000 right now. And that is the base program that I build everything out, that we're going to build everything else on. We can do assessments, we do individual plans, we do certifications, work experience, job shadowing, certifications, tutoring, and career counseling. All of that for free for people that come to us that fit in the program. Like I said, dislocated workers for terminated employees. Adult program is 18 and above with barriers to employment. Youth program is low income with barriers to employment from 14 to 24. Then these partners in the blue here, those are all our co-located partners that come in and we share resources with, which is a division of vocational rehabilitation, Wagner Pizer, Native Alulike, McKinley Community School for Adults. When we have somebody that needs a GED, we send them over there, or they have English language competency, we send them over there. Farming, MEO has the farming and the seniors program, and Maui Job Corps has at-risk. Those are our core partners. On the bottom, the yellow is our community partners. So we actually have a working relationship with the all the nonprofits on Maui. The 60 different nonprofits. We have a referral program with them, so they refer people that need jobs to us, and we refer people that need their services to them. Child and Family Service is, we're doing Saturday Festival of Hope with them. We do events with them, mostly for food distribution, and we put our brochures in their boxes. We're very fortunate that Maui Food Bank has distributed 4,000. Last month, they distributed 4,000 of our brochures in their boxes so people can learn about our program. I think outreach for our program has been weak, And we're trying to build that. Maui United Way, again, is one of our partners, and we're going to have co-located 211 operator. The unions are our partners. We work very closely with them. We're looking at, we work with ILWU, but we also work with the carpenters and the electricians union. And those two unions, we're trying to look at how we can possibly expand, help them expand their funding base. Okay, so I don't know why this didn't work out, but over here on this side, we have applied that. So the two middle ones, the green and the gray, we've received award letters for $475,000 for an employment grant and $300,000, $50,000 in cash and $250,000 in employment, in-kind employment service funding through Hawaii. The employer of record is going to be Hawaii, what is it? Employment Agency. And what we want to do with that is paid internships and work experience. We're going to offer English language learners some access to technology, homeless outreach resources, and also pay, elderly services. Another thing we want to do is we're creating a certification for sanitation cleaners that can go into nonprofits and businesses with paid internships and help the nonprofits and businesses to do the cleaning that they probably can't afford to do. And the third, the one I'm really excited about is the hotel and lodging health and safety site officers. Our plan is to do, our first round will happen before mid-December. We're going to have 20 hotels give us an employee. We're going to train them for free at UH. We have a curriculum identified to make them a health and safety site officer that gives them complete training in all kinds of COVID, disaster, pandemic mitigation, and a bridge to the Department of Health, that how to report and all the OSHA requirements. So we're planning that they're our first group to start, like I said, before the middle of December. We want to we're planning to train 60. My funding will probably cover 60 of these trainings, but
Linda, can you try and wrap it up? We're
Sure.
getting your time up.
Okay, so anyway, the last grant is 1.739 million, and it is to build higher level skilled jobs for the community. It's to actually take middle level people like certified nursing assistants and help them get to higher level jobs like patient care technician, EKG, and 5 different sectors. Okay?
Okay, Linda, thank you. And if you can switch us back out of your screen sharing when you can. And guys, I would just, I don't think we have to mute and unmute. There's only 3 of you, and you're all reasonable people that don't have to talk over each other. And just one of my thoughts was something that our 2 elected representatives have mentioned many, many times, is that their background is small business people. They're not career politicians. So they have that advantage that they are participating as much as they can find time in their active businesses while they're serving as representatives. So having that good background from when things were much better than they are now, and not that you have to confine your discussions to that topic, but I just thought that as I was listening to that. Well, yes, you guys do. So you can just make comments or ask each other questions. However anybody wants to start. I can, if nobody is going to beat me first, I will say, well, Kelly, we can start with you because you were the first presenter, and then you can just discuss or question or whatever you think is right.
Well, did you have a question? Or you just want me to kind of fill in?
No, I don't think they hear from me all the time. I think the community needs to hear from you guys more than me.
Well, that is one of the goals, is to diversify the economy, and I'm happy to report that the project that we did with the film industry over at the Andaz, and then that was followed up by another film project at the Four Seasons. Both of those were very successful, 0 positive tests, and I think the figure I heard on the first one was about 1,300 tests that they did on those less than 100 people, and got no positives. So that they had a really good protocol, which I was hoping would be, used as a model for other parts of the county. But it's hard. It's a difficult situation that the council is in, because we've got a lot of ideas. We're trying to pass policies. We're not getting a whole lot of collaboration from the administration. So we ask for reports on what's happening. The resolution that we recently passed urging the mayor to put together a COVID task force largely came from a lot of people in the administration that were talking to me, and people in the community that were talking to me that were saying we need a unified, some kind of a unified approach based on data. And one of my biggest frustrations is that Dr. Pang comes and gives us reports, and he doesn't seem to be in alignment with what's happening. So that was part of it. People it's kind of like the Dr. Fauci thing. We need people like Dr. Pang to be front and center and helping us make these decisions. So his big push, one of his big pushes was we need that second test for travelers. Once they get here, the test before is good, but they really need to test after. And that's not being required. And so those are the kinds of things that I think need to be data driven, and talk to the health experts. But unfortunately, none of the council members are included in any of those decisions. So all we can do is kind of get reports and make these resolutions, which largely aren't they're not law. They're not mandating law. They're just urging action. But I do also want to say that the Perseus app is being deployed now. It's not widely known, but this is a voluntary tracing app that you can get on, and it doesn't use your name, but you can register on it, and it kind of tracks your whereabouts. And then if you test positive,
I put it on my phone, and it's only iPhone ready yet. It's not Android ready yet. It is iPhone ready though.
Okay, so that's iPhone ready. So it's not. It's a private group of people, but they're expert people, and they're people that have been around for a long time. Sustain Hawaii is part of it. Ramsey Tom is part of it. And this has been offered. There's not really a coordinated effort. So we've got all these bits and pieces that are available to us, but there's not, a coordinated effort task force that's saying, here's the program we should be using. So that's a little bit frustrating, but I think that if we can all start paying attention to the tracing, we know about masking, we know about social distancing, but the tracing is really important, because if you do come down with it, you need to tell people where you've been, and you need to talk to the people that you've been around. So that's one of the things. I don't know what I actually haven't put that Perseus.
I've put them both on my phone. I've got Aloha Safe on my phone. I got Perseus on my phone. They can just track me wherever I go, and I don't have to remember where I've been. I can pull it up on my phone and let everybody know where I've been. I don't know if you all are aware that Mayor Kawakami from Kauai has asked the governor for a second time to institute now shorter quarantine, which is what the advocates that are asking for that second test are also asking for a shorter quarantine period before that second test. And I think the economic sector is very hesitant to go back to any quarantine of any kind, because people just don't get on an airplane. It costs people, $500 a day to quarantine in Hawaii, and they're not going to spend those extra dollars. But apparently the statistics and data are showing that we're gonna blow up, and
Right.
We need to be ready. And
Right.
so I am personally staying home. I am social distancing. My bubble is super small, and I'm not interacting with people. I'm not dining indoors at all. I'm only dining outside. I'm only going to restaurants that have outdoor dining. I happen to be, all of my hobbies have been canceled. Okay. Don't feel sorry for me, but I'm a huge live music fan, a huge travel fan, a huge restaurant, cocktail, craft cocktail, food and beverage enthusiast, and all these hobbies are just like on hold. But I'm doing my best to patronize our small businesses around South Maui and make sure we know who's open. Many people have pivoted and are getting their outdoor dining on. And I really think that we have to buckle down and stay home as much as possible. I'm avoiding the grocery store. I've signed up for Instacart. I'm doing prepared meal services from a variety of chefs that have pivoted from their unemployment situation into an entrepreneurial situation. And as much as we can share, especially on social media, people that are doing these kinds of really cool pivot things, we can kind of carry through. I'm really glad to learn about Linda's programs. I have to admit that I knew nothing about these programs that you have going on. My office alone has helped over 300 people with unemployment issues. That system collapsed, as we all know. And so we really have to just continue to stick together and wear our masks and social distance while we try to learn to live with this situation for the next year. I know parents want their kids to go back to school. I hope that we can convince the DOE that we need tighter cohorts and bubbles for our students. It doesn't do any good to have students changing classes to 4 different classrooms with no sanitation happening on their desk in between schools, and that's what's happening at our schools right now. So we need to tighten it up. We need to tighten it up through the holidays. We need to have, you know, only our nuclear group that we live with for our holiday celebrations, and, you know, get together with your loved ones on Zoom, have a cocktail hour, have a, you know, I learned about a group that was going to have Thanksgiving dinner, and everybody was going to make the same things. They were sending recipes around, and then they were going to sit down and have a Thanksgiving Zoom together. So we just need to get creative. We need to just kind of, you know, understand that we've got another year to go. We're going to be on hold, but we have to take care of each other. We have to make sure everybody has food and shelter, and we've got to exploit all of the federal dollars that we can. So I very much enjoyed learning about your programs, Linda. Thank you for participating tonight.
And I think it's important for folks to know too that the cries for the task force and for social distancing and masking and everything we're asking for is so we don't have to shut down everything completely.
Right.
It's not an attempt to close people down. It's an attempt to not have the major shutdown where everything just has to.
We can't afford it.
No, and that's why we want to do this the health and safety. The hotels are in a very sticky situation. They have to do customer service, but they're de-escalating. I've gotten, I can't tell you how countless number of calls when I was working at the call center for the mayor about people in hotels that aren't wearing masks and the hotel's not enforcing it. And we have to get the hotels to do what they need to do. And they want to, they're willing to, they just need the training to do it. We have people, the hotels are jumping at this training. It's important. And we could actually, if you think about it, we could actually be, you know, in the long term, we could market ourselves as really being a health and safety destination. I mean, it's a good thing. But we want the local residents to feel comfortable. I mean, it's not fair to us either. You know, we have to make sure that things are safe. That's what the importance of it is. You know, but at the same time, I have to look for. There's a lot. It's nice that you guys can stay home, and I'm all for people staying home. I like being home, but a lot of us have to work and go to work every day, and there's a whole bunch of people that are home that are on unemployment and don't have any money, and the unemployment is running out. It is seriously bad. There's people waiting from the end of August for their PUs to kick in. And you know, I get no less than 4 people crying a day, calling me, just sobbing that they have no money. So we have to come. That's what I'm asking. I'm asking, can people please call me, contact me, tell me your ideas. I want to hear them all. Send me emails. I want to hear all your ideas, and we'll try to incorporate. We have to figure out new jobs because we're going to have to pivot. Just like you're making a Department of Ag because you believe strongly that ag is important. I do too. I've been working really hard on a food hub with the Hawaii Taro Farm, a food concept. I have money put aside for internships for agriculture. So the thing that I'm doing is exactly what works with what you're doing, but you just don't know.
Well, no, it's not coming out of the administration. So, you know, that's why it's
I'm
really,
part of that. I'm part of the
I
administration.
know, I know you are. Then what I'm saying is it's really important to be able to work with the departments directly, because we find out a lot of stuff that we're not being told. And, you know, unfortunately, and I know it's relaxed a little bit, but before the pandemic, you know, before with the lockdown, we were just, you know, the council for some reason gets locked out, and we have this protocol we have to go through to even ask a department a question. You know, it's got
That
to
was
be
actually in effect for a long time, that protocol, wasn't it?
well, it's from the previous mayor, but this
Yeah.
mayor promised during the election he wasn't going to do that. We were all going to work together, and then it went back to that. So, you know, these kinds of conversations are important because I learn more from talking directly to the departments than from getting these, you know, very infrequent reports to the council.
I think that Hawaii's state government and county governments in general across the entire state, and maybe it's a long time cultural Japanese legacy, but the silos have got to come down, right? We all are operating in silos.
Legacy, but I do think it's a government issue.
We've got to
Well,
break
I just so you know, I'm being encouraged to go take my program on the road. Being encouraged by the administration telling me, I want you to tell people about what we need to do, what you think we need to do. And as far as the, you know, another thing that could be really helpful, Kelly, is to actually start making master contracts. That's what is holding back the funding for the CARES Act more than anything else, is that the contracting for it was all late. DBED contracts were late. CARES Act contracts were late. They only had a little bit of time to spend this money because the contracts took forever to get in line. We need to make some master contracts so contracts become easier.
Yeah, and that's the type of thing that really needs to come from the administration too, because that's a function of the administration. So if there's a policy that needs to be done, that needs to be transmitted from the administration. But I think that's a really good idea that you should, you know, maybe you could talk to the managing director about it, because the quicker, you know, that's what I hear the most is how long it takes to, and especially the people that have been told they're going to get money, how long it still takes to go through that whole process and get the money that they've been told they were going to get. And that's a lot of the same programs that you've been talking about. That's, you know, people with the food hubs and the, you know, I was talking to Lucianne about this because they were told to try to house one of the programs that was going to give the services and the money out, and they went out and spent money and put it together, and then it took months, you know, so they were out of pocket. So getting paid back is an issue.
So I do think that the concept is to go to master contracts. I think that there's a way to do it, and I have been suggesting, and I will continue to suggest that I think there's solutions to every problem. I think we're going to be okay if we can work together. I do believe that, you know, and to take the expertise that everybody has to the table. Everybody has expertise in their lives and that's why I'm asking everybody to tell me what is the jobs, you know, how are we going to pivot these people into jobs? There's going to be massive amounts of people that cannot go back to their jobs. And it just doesn't affect you. Just doesn't affect them. It affects everybody, because that's our, you know, everybody works in that, then it works, right?
Well, it's the training programs I think are really important, because I think, you know, I've been saying this since I got on the council that we need to diversify. And the first term I had on the council, I had the majority of council members working against me, trying to just, you know, keep that message that, no, everything's about tourism. So, you know, and I foresaw this happening. I didn't foresee the pandemic, but I just thought what happens when the tourism, you know, bottom falls out of tourism, which it has done now in a big way. And we need to figure out what those industries are. Health is one of the big things we're looking at, you know, and working with Hale Makua and organizations like that are really pushing the envelope on that. Film industry can grow. These other industries
they couldn't even use all their money, right? The Hale Makua, because it's hard to attract people to be certified nursing assistants. It's not,
Well, they are putting people through, they're working on a health program where they're, training people and getting them into the workforce early in their training to see if that's what they want.
no, I get that they're getting them in the workforce, but the pay rates of a CNA are so extremely low. It's not a desirable occupation for a lot of people. What we have to do is figure out career paths where people start there, have somewhere to go with it.
Yeah, well, yeah, we do need to offer the different career paths, because most people that get into, I'd say the bulk of the people in tourism are in very low paying jobs anyway. So
Yeah, no, actually,
there's a lot of $12 and $15 an hour jobs in tourism.
In retail and in the restaurants, but the hotels are good jobs. They're not bad jobs. They're decent wage jobs in the hotels. It's not so much that, but it isn't going to be the same. So we have to all get used to where do we go from here. And I have the full support of the Maui Visitors Bureau on this health and safety site coordinator idea, because it makes sense. It makes sense to protect people. It does three things. It protects people. It raises the profile of the hotel itself, and it protects the employees. We want to make sure it protects residents and employees, as well as it protects visitors. And people have to be trained and knowledgeable about what to do.
So
I would just offer from a community perspective, from what we're hearing, is that everybody knew that there would be a day. None of us knew it was a pandemic, but it was mentioned many times. What if we had a tremendous storm and our one harbor was closed? We all knew we had the so-called 7-day supply of food. And unfortunately, now it's the most challenging time to make these changes. And yes, it's always easy to look back and say, why wasn't something done before? Well, we can't do that. But we still hear a resistance from many of the workers. These are, just who don't want, no, this is what I do. I don't want to change. I don't want to have to go back. And you have to face that reality that probably will never go back to that level of tourism. And I don't think the community wants that level, certainly in South Maui.
Well, there are mixed messages about that, Mike, and that's one of the things that we need to decide as a community, that, what level of tourism do we want? I don't think we ever want to go, we had over tourism, we had more tourists per capita than was prescribed in the Maui Island plan when the pandemic hit. And so we all know that there's going to be a lower level of tourism, and yet we still see hotel expansion and new hotels being proposed. So we're sending mixed messages to the community. We need to really, and that's one of the things we really need to look at, like why do we need to expand the Grand Wailea by another 125 rooms if we're actually we're anticipating shrinking our number of tourists on the island. That hurts all the other establishments as well, because the more expansion we have, the lower the occupancy rate is going to be across the board. I'd rather see fewer hotels full than a bunch of hotels half full. And so those are the decisions I think that are going to come up in this next year, that are going to have to be hard decisions made, but practical decisions.
Yeah, the occupancy in the 2 hotels that opened today were extremely low. And it's discouraging. And you're right, Mike. I've talked to over 400 union workers that are working in hotels, and there wasn't one of them that wanted to pivot in another occupation. Not one of them. But
it's understandable.
Reality is that it will have to happen. The one thing that they said was, we're open to other things, but not farming. We don't want to go back in the fields. That's exact quotes from every single one of them. So there's got to be light industry. What about light industry? What about, clean light industry, and then we could find a way. I say let's process our own paper.
There are a lot of industries, and there's, renewable energy technology, but there's also different levels of agriculture jobs. You don't have to be working in the field. There's marketing, there's processing, there's accounting for agricultural companies. So, I mean, I understand not everybody wants to work in the field, but there are different levels of jobs for different sizes of egg companies. So it's getting people trained with the skills. And I think one of the things that I learned early on in our company was, you know, because we were the first ones, we were hiring a lot of people that were really excited about it, but we didn't really pay a lot of attention to their skill set. They were just really into renewable energy. And then over the years, we realized, okay, first we need to hire someone with accounting skills and marketing skills and processing skills. And then we want them to be enthusiastic. So we need to start training people for some of these basic skills, and then they can pivot easily from one industry to another. If you're an accountant, you can be an accountant for any industry. You know,
I
so,
know.
you know,
I know that one.
yeah, you're an accountant, so you know that. But I think those are the skills that we really need to
Yeah.
focus on.
Well, we do, but there are going to be people that have to be in the fields, and I'm going to tell you that's the one that you're going to have a hard time if you open up fields. But if you made smaller,
You have people that like that, though. There are people that like that. I've got people that
there
like
aren't.
that.
I mean, there are some. There are some, and God bless them. They should do what they love, right? But I want to tell you, $39 million were spent in the state by employers to bring immigrants in for higher technical jobs and higher technical training. We also import a lot of nurses at the hospital and doctors from the mainland, and we don't have the adequate training to move our local residents into those jobs, as well as management in the hotels. They bring people in from the mainland. Real estate property management in general don't hire local. So just so you know, that grant that I wrote was for it would be funded by the money that comes from H-1B visas. You know, the immigrant visas from the mainland. I mean, from all countries and from all different kinds of countries. And we have a good chance of getting it because we do have 39 million that goes out to hire people from other countries. So
Okay, guys, we're out of time. We've hit the 8 o'clock hour, and I want to thank all of you. I don't know if there she is. Tina's back live. I want to thank all of you for participating in this and for your kind words for KCA. We do our best, and we wish we had more money and more help and more skills, but we all do the best we can, and it's people like us in all different sectors that are trying to make things better instead of those that are just sitting back and complaining. And no, they don't want to vote, and they don't want to register, and they don't want to change. And well, you know, so we're fighting an uphill battle sometimes, but it takes people like you that are going out and saying, well, yes. I mean, I look at Kelly and Tina, they certainly made their career changes, and they may not have necessarily wanted to do it, but they saw a need, and they had people calling them to do it, sometimes begging them to do it. And they said, okay, well, I'll do it for a while.
Well, like you, Mike, for me, it wasn't really a career change. It was community service. And, you know, it's like you're doing this amazing work for the KCA, and you keep thinking someone's going to come along and volunteer to step into your position, but it hasn't happened yet.
No, unfortunately, and yes, I don't know. We have our new board will vote for offices in January, and I'm campaigning for term limits in KCA. I said, let's get term limits in here. Follow the government. Well, but again, guys, thank you all for participating, and thank you to Rob Weltman, who's always behind the scenes. Otherwise, this would never work. And we see her name here, Patricia Stillwell, who she's our secretary and our treasurer this year. And so there's
Mike,
people.
do you want to announce the meeting that we're co-hosting on Thursday?
That was my last note,
Okay.
Kelly. All the information on that's a joint meeting on Thursday at 5:30, looking at a affordable or workforce housing project in Central Kihei, which is going through the council committee process now. But we have all the information on the KCA website, that has the Zoom, hopefully the correct Zoom information, so people can participate in it. And it's right dead center in town on Piilani. It was part of the long-term downtown Kihei project, which was originally going to be residential and commercial, and then it morphed into all commercial. And then all at once, they said, okay, we can do some affordable housing in here. So yeah, look on the KCA website, go kihei.org, and we'll bring that up to the top post. This one was the top post for tonight, but tomorrow we'll bring that up, and hopefully people will get educated, because many still don't know the downtown Kihei project. I said, it's been around for 15 years. Nope, never heard of it.
And now it's the downtown affordable housing project. So
That's
it's
right.
kind of
Well, that's what
morphing
we're
from
always saying. Yes, it's in the right place. It's got all the infrastructure in there. So, but thank you, Kelly, for bringing that up, because many did. That was much of the testimony is going through committees. People, I don't know anything about this. Well, they didn't talk to the community. Well, they talked to us, and I guess we're part of the community.
They
But
talked to you, and they talked to the South Maui Advisory Committee. So they did
Yep.
talk to some of the community, but
That's legit.
Yep.
All right, y'all, I'm going to say goodnight because my dinner is right here.
all
And it's
right.
hot. So I love you all. I thank you all for your time and your contributions. And I love collaborating with everyone. Everybody have a great night. Aloha, ahui ho.
Likewise, Tina. Aloha. Kelly, thank you so much, and we'll be back Thursday together.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a good
Aloha.
night. Thursday.